Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. My name is Ayman Khan here with great to pick the brain of prominent trainer James Ali Bashir. James, good to see you. Vlad Serenko out very soon. How's life?
Well, life is good. Yeah, we're here in Tennessee for what is lined up to be Lazarenko's 21st professional fight.
How do you feel about his career trajectory so far? 21 pro fights.
But you know, boxing is really being really a cautious business now.
Mm.
Um, we don't have a lot of ready opponents to say that they want to step up the fight an undefeated fighter. There's a lot of fighters out there that's undefeated, but in our case, we haven't had a lot of takers that wants to step in the box with Vlad Serenko. It's very trying times. So we in fights now. My philosophy is that when you can't fight the top guys, you fight the guys right below the top guys. And if you can't fight those guys right below the top guys, then you fight the guys right below the top guys. Just to stay busy. You can't just be inside of a gym sparring and think that's going to keep you sharp, because then it makes the fighter mentally unprepared for the big test. So, yeah, we out here, we're fighting, we're taking the opponents as they come.
I imagine that must frustrate you and Vlad as well too, not being able to get those opportunities just yet.
Yes, but I caution him about that, because I've seen this many times in my boxing tenure. I've seen this many times where frustration builds up, and then when the big fight comes, then the fight is not prepared. So I just tell him to take what's happening with a grain of salt and keep moving forward.
With that said, then you feel that he has to keep getting those knockouts to keep people talking about him, keep him on people's radars.
Well, I don't really push him to get knockouts out. Knockouts are good. Knockouts are good, but I teach him to be educated out there, pointing out to him that you're not going to knock out every guy. Some guys you're going to have to think a little more than going out slugging it out with them. So I try to get him to understand the educational part of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a number of fighters out there, and most recently Daniel Dubois and Philip Ergovic, and the two of them was out there just going at it, slugging each other, slugging, and neither one of them showed a lot of defense in their approach to boxing.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that, James, because that's what I was going to ask you about next. Dubois well, having been in the corner with him for his fight with Alexander Usyk. You said beforehand, this is a good time actually to take on Philip Hrgovic because his confidence is sky high. A lot of people doubted Dubois, but you saw that in him, that he can realize his potential. What did you see in his performance outside of the slugging and against Hrgovic?
I told you that the Dubois Hrgovic fight was a 50-50 fight.
Mm.
A lot of times the boxer gets caught up in a capsule where I'm the only guy out here fighting. Hrgovic was undefeated, so I figured it's a good time to try to catch him off guard. You can't read your own press and think that is actually happening. Sometimes you got to approach with caution and be aware and alert for every person that's in the ring with you. So I said it's a 50-50 fight, and as it turned out, it was a 50-50 fight.
Did you feel that we didn't see the true version of Philip Hrgovic there? Why wasn't he able to assert himself as he had before?
Well, when boxers go into a match, you never know what's happening in their mindset or in the corner or in the preparation. You never know what's going on. Were there any injuries? Was there anything that might cause panic and insecurity? Is there anything that would make him rush forward? Because I thought that Philip was burning a lot of energy early instead of taking his time and planning his attack. It just looked like he was throwing a lot of big shots early, and I kept thinking that this would tire him out going down the stretch. It's a 12-round fight. So you can never be too amped up, if you will. You can't be like that because you can burn yourself out in the 5 or 6 rounds. At that fights at that level, there's a lot at stake in those kind of fights.
What of Dubois' offense was great, but what about his defense? What did you think of that side of his game?
His defense was in the basement, and I'll be the first to say his defense was in the basement. I don't think that it's wise for any boxer to take those kind of shots to prove anything, how tough they are, how much they can take it. I just think it was a bad thing, but his defense looked really bad in that fight.
There's some conversation on. Go on.
Even though he got the job done.
Mm-hmm. There's some conversation surrounding the fight regarding Stan Dubois and his contributions in the corner. In your time with Daniel Dubois, what was it like meeting Stan, if you did have the chance to speak to him at length?
Please repeat the question.
So a lot of conversation regarding Daniel Dubois' father in the corner, Stan Dubois. In your time in Daniel Dubois' corner, did you have a chance to speak with Stan at length, and what was your feelings surrounding him and his son?
I didn't speak that much with the father. We traded some words here and there, but we never sat down and had an outright conversation. But I did make, and I think that's what caused my termination in that corner, because I spoke out about the boxers should be listening to the trainer. Pay attention to. I know that there's a relationship because it's a father and son. But when you're inside of the ring, you have to give your undivided attention to the man who planned the architecture for the fight itself. I disagree with boxers paying attention to the fathers and the cousins and the aunts and the uncles. Bullshit. You pay attention to the trainer, the guy that you're sharing that time with on the floor. Don Charles is the guy that he should be listening to. Again, I don't know what the relationship is. Obviously, it's a strong relationship between Daniel and the father, but he should not be distracted so much that he's not listening to Don Charles. I think that he needs to pay attention to Don Charles. He needs to embrace Don Charles because he's the guy that's going down that alleyway with him.
The next step might be that Daniel Dubois has now earned himself an opportunity at Anthony Joshua. What do you feel are the prospects of his chance of success against AJ?
Well, I think that is, it's a good fight. I think it's a 60-40 fight in Joshua's favor because of Daniel's distractions. Distractions. That's what I made note of while I was in the training camp with him. His distractions. He gets distracted sometimes. Looking here, looking there, and I his father didn't like that there, and the pals that be in the training camp said they dismissed me. Said we don't want you here. We don't want you around him. This was what I was told. The father does not want you around his son. That's when I was dismissed from the camp. But I'm going to speak my mind, and I don't know what happens in England or other parts of the world, but in America, people speak their mind. I'm a professional, and I've been in boxing long enough to speak with guys that's young enough to be my grandson. I'm going to tell them what's good for them and what's bad for them. I don't care who likes it, who doesn't like it. That's why I'm where I'm at. I'm not in terms of outright grandeur. I'm not an ass kisser. I'm not a yes man. I'm going to tell people what they need to know. I'm going to tell boxers what they need to know. I think that a lot of trainers are too brave when it comes to somebody else getting brutalized in the sport. I thought I watched the young man Hamza's fight.
Yeah, Hamza
I
Shiraz.
thought I thought the people in the corner of the young man that was fighting Hamza, I think they was too brave. I think that fight should have been stopped in the 7th, 8th round. He was taking a beating. His vision was impaired. I thought that brain trust in the corner should say, look, this guy's had enough for the night. Let's save him and bring him back another time. But he was taking a beating right up until the time that the referee stopped the fight, especially after the knockout. I think that they should have never let him come back out of the corner because at that point he was done and he was taking a beating. But I thought that the corner was very brave and sent him out. They might dispute what I'm saying, but like I said, I've been here nearly 57 years, and I know the signs. I know the signs where a guy is getting ready to get hurt, maybe even killed. So let's just save the guy, protect the guy, take him back, and bring him back another time.
I imagine with that said as well, too, you have some strong feelings regarding Deontay Wilder and his knockout loss to Zhilei Zhang.
Sure, I do. I mean, if you're in a training camp, you got to make note of the critical things that he's doing wrong. All right, that he's doing wrong. And I see plenty of things, the tidbits that I see online. I don't know whether that's the actual training procedures or not, but I saw different things. One thing is in boxing, I see trainers, coaches, whatever you want to call them. I hate for somebody to call me a coach. I'm not a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher before I'm a trainer. I don't want somebody to call me coach. I'm not a coach. Coaches, to me, is amateurs, and they conduct themselves like yes men. I'm not a yes man. No boxer has the right to come into a training camp and dictate to a teacher. No, the teacher is the boss. When a boxer comes into a teacher, the teacher says, look, this is what you need to do. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to try to reach to do. It's either that or you separate, you know? So I just don't like it. I see a lot of situations where boxers come in and say, oh, I want to do 3 rounds today. No, you do it what I asked you to do. You understand? Because the boxer is never going to challenge himself like the teacher's going to tell him. You understand? I've worked with Lennox Lewis, Vladimir Klitschko, and now I'm working with Vlad. And I make them reach. A lot of times I know that Vlad, just like Vladimir Klitschko, just like Lennox Lewis, a lot of times they don't want to do just certain things. They may not feel like it that day. But no, this is what we have to do. Boxing is about doing many times what you don't want to do. So I'm the teacher, and I'm telling you this is what we have to do today. And so that's what I put to him.
What about the way Malik Scott has Deontay Wilder fighting? He seems Wilder a lot more concerned about defense, which is good, but maybe a lot of people are concerned about Deontay Wilder and him pulling the trigger as much as he used to beforehand with that right hand. Do you feel the version of Deontay Wilder we're seeing under Malik Scott is the one that you want to see?
You know, I think Deontay Wilder's early part of his career, he did what he did instinctively. I think that part of Deontay Wilder is gone. I think that for whatever the reason, I don't want to say it was Malik Scott. I just think that part of Deontay Wilder is gone. He does not have that killer instinct anymore, in my opinion. He doesn't have that killer instinct anymore. Instinctively, he was throwing punches. Now the right hand is not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, I don't know whether emotionally and spiritually or a lot, like I said, it could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things that's wrong with Deontay Wilder. It could be that he's just satisfied or dissatisfied. That's making him fight the way he's fighting.
What are his options next? Do you feel a lot of people are calling for him to retire with that right hand not there as it used to be?
I'm saying this is an open letter to Deontay Wilder now. Deontay Wilder, I like to consider him as a friend. He's a young man and he deserves to live. A lot of times I've seen boxers over the years. I've been in camps. I've been in different atmospheres. And I don't want to mention names, but I've seen boxers that were pushed past the stage that they should have retired. Why? Because there were people around them that were making money for their mistresses. They were making money for their own personal ventures. And that was their outlet. I need this guy to keep going so I can have my life. Mm-hmm. Instead of stepping in and saying, hey, enough is enough. Let's pack it up and let's go. Boxing is not the kind of sport that you want to hang around for extended amounts of time. Over time, it will take its toll. I know lots of men that I encounter all over the States, all over Europe. And when I talk to these men, I'm proud to see them with their stability, with their sense, with their rationale. A lot of times I see people who don't have that. They're fumbling over their words. They can't remember what they did 5 minutes ago because the brains rattle. Their intestines are mangled, beaten, so sometimes you got somebody has to step in and say, hey, look, enough is enough. So I'm saying this to Deontay Wilder. You've earned a great living. You became a millionaire, if not billionaire. It's time to walk away, to enjoy your life with your family, be with your family, run your businesses with the monies that you made in boxing, but do not go back in the ring. That time has passed. You did what you can do in boxing. That time has passed. Get out. Get out while you're ahead. Get out while you can still spell your name, because a lot of guys can't spell their name. And I see them and I talk to them all the time. That's a carry. That's what a trainer does. That's what a teacher does. The teacher says, no, enough is enough. You don't want to. That was a bad knockout the other night. Hmm. That's the kind of knockout that will separate him from his senses if he keeps going. So I'm one person that's saying, get out, let it go. Boxing used to be, but it is no more. And don't try to stir up something. There are those that's going to say, oh, let's go just do it one more time. This was wrong, that's wrong. We can correct that, this, that. But those guys that's telling you that they're not going to live with you the rest of your life. They're not going to be the one that's going to be feeding you your soup through a straw. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion, because I've seen it happen many times before. I'll never let that happen to Blasterenko. If I think Blasterenko at any time does not have what it takes to be in that ring, then I'm going to be the first to come to him and say, hey, son, it's over. Let's go. Let's get the step in. That's it. And if you go back, I won't go with you.
James, very well said. I really appreciate this deep conversation. All the best for you and your charge, Blasterenko, tomorrow night, and we'll speak very soon.
Yes, I look forward to it.